devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Sisi Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 7, Text 20. Durapahi alpatapasa seva vaikunta vartmasu yatropajiyate nityam deva devo janardana. Durapahi alpatapasa seva vaikunta vartmasu yatro Pagi jayate nityam deva devo janadana. Durapahiya patapasa seva vaikunta vartmasu yatro pajiyate nityam deva devo janardana. What do you want to recite?
दुरापहे अल्पतपसा सेवा वैकुण्ठवर्त्मसु यत्रोपगीयते नित्यं देवदेवो जनार्दना.
Hare Krishna. दुरापाहि अल्पे तपसः वैकुण्ठ वर्त्मसु यत्रोपगीयते नित्यं देवदेवो जनार्दन. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Durapahi apatapasaha seva vaikunta vartmasu yatro pajiyate nityam deva devo janardana. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Okay. We read the word-to-word translation. Durapa, really obtainable. He certainly, Alpatapasa, one whose austerity is meager. Seva, service. Vaikunta, the transcendental kingdom of God. Vartmasu, on the path of. Yatra, wherein. Upajiyate is glorified. Nityam, always. Deva, of the demigods. Deva, the Lord. Jana, Ardana, the controller of the living entities. Person whose austerity is meager can hardly obtain the service of a pure devotees who are progressing on the path back to the kingdom of Godhead, the Vaikunthas. Pure devotees engage 100% in glorifying the Supreme Lord, who is the Lord of the demigod, as a controller of all living entities. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The path of liberation as recommended by all authorities is to serve the Mahatma, transcendentalists. As far as the Bhagavad Gita is concerned, the Mahatma or the pure devotee on the path to Vaikuntha, the kingdom of God, and who always chant and hear the glories of the Lord rather than talk of dry, profitless philosophy. This system of association has been recommended since time immemorial. But in this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, it is specially recommended by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even if one has no asset of favorable austerities, if we nevertheless take shelter of the Mahatmas who are engaged in chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord, is sure to make progress on the path back home, back to Godhead. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manabhistam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vanchakapataribhyo cha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pesavta Simatimba Krishna Rakasa Iti Name Namo Vishnupadaya Niti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Name Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nivisesa Pinavadi Bhakti Chandisa. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. We're continuing our study on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 7, Text 20. And this is a very, very important verse. The main point is about serving a great Vaishnava in order to attain pure devotional service to the Lord. So, in all path of liberation, it is recommended that we have to serve great soul, as they are called Mahatma. So Prabhupada put a lot of emphasis on who was a great Mahatma. The great Mahatma, they are those who are fully devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they don't have any other material business to perform. They always engage in hearing and chanting the holy name of the Lord, and just they're on the path back home, back to Godhead. And such great souls, they are very rare. So, in order to progress in devotional service, it is recommended for all of us, we have to approach great soul, and who are the great soul? We can start the devotees who introduce Krishna consciousness to us. And our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. This is our immediate great soul that we have to approach for us to, make progress in devotional service. So usually the pure soul, the pure devotees, sometimes we call them sadhu. Sadhu means one who is always trying to remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada said, who was a Mahatma? Prabhupada in chapter 9, text 13 and 14, and Prabhupada explained who are the Mahatma. Mahatma means great soul. And the great soul, they are chapter 13, 9:13 Bhagavad Gita, I say, Mahatmanas tu mamparta diving prakitim ashritaha bhajanti ananya manaso yadpad bhuta dim avyayam. And the translation is, O son of Prita, those who are not deluded, the great soul, or under the protection of the divine nature. They're fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. And also, what does the Mahatma do usually? They're always chanting the holy name of the glories of the Supreme Lord. There's a next verse, also 9:14. It says, Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridha vrataha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. So the translation of this verse, it says, the Satatam kirtayanto, they're always chanting, that they non-stop, always chanting the holy name of the Lord. And they're chanting this holy name of the Lord with a lot of determination. dridhavataha. When we are fully, endeavoring with full determination, that's the only way we can attain Krishna. And our goal in our Krishna consciousness movement, to be always Krishna conscious. That's why we say International Society for Krishna Conscious. That means we have to be always be Krishna conscious. Always remember Krishna. So that the Mahatma, the great soul, that because they're always chanting the holy name of the Lord and the glories of the Lord, and because they're always endeavoring with great determination, and they're always bowing down to the translation, always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me. This great soul perpetually worship me with devotion. So the only way that we can attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead is through devotion. And there are two kinds of Mahatma. Prabhupada, in one purport I read, Srila Prabhupada said sometimes the impersonalists also, the impersonalists, they're also they're called Mahatma because they are looking after, eternal happiness. They want, and also the devotees. But we don't pay attention to the impersonalists because, both the devotees and the impersonalists, they want eternal happiness. They want to be with the Lord, but the impersonalists, they just want to be one, one with the Lord, and they want to merge into the existence of the Lord. But the devotees, they don't want to merge into the existence of the Lord. They just want to serve the Lord. They just want to develop pure devotion. They want to worship the Lord. So, and as we are neophyte devotees, are practitioner of bhakti yoga, for us to make progress, to advance in spiritual life, our duty is to take shelter of the great soul, and we have to serve the great soul, like in Bhagavad Gita, in Bhagavad Gita and in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, everywhere it's mentioned that we have to serve great soul, and we have to inquire from them submissively, and we have to serve, like tad vidi pranipatena pariprasnena seva upadiksanti te jnanina tatpadarshina, you know tad vidi, inquire, from the spiritual master submissively and serve him. By serving him, the self-realized soul will impart knowledge unto you. Because in order, we require knowledge. In order to get knowledge, for practicing devotional service, we have to approach a great soul. So we all have the opportunity by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So his books, and we got, an unlimited knowledge. Even we don't have the, we were not fortunate enough to, to meet him personally, but we by his books, we all, like, who's in Krishna, in the Krishna consciousness movement, we got to associate with Srila Prabhupada, great soul. And just by everyday reading Srila Prabhupada books and listening to Srimad Bhagavatam and taking shelter of so many devotees who have dedicated their life to propagate, the mission of Srila Prabhupada, our Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's just by associating with them and by listening to them and by following in their footsteps, we can also make progress in spiritual life. And Prabhupada also say, who is a Mahatma? Prabhupada say, a Mahatma, we cannot, like a great soul, we cannot be manufactured by rubber stamping an ordinary man. His symptoms are described here. A Mahatma is always engaged in chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord. Like in the purple, in the verse it said, person whose austerity is meager can hardly obtain the service of the pure devotees. mean person whose austerity, who are, it's not just simply by performing austerity, it's not sufficient to obtain the mercy of the pure devotee who are progressing on the path back home, back to Godhead, the Vaikuntha. So the devotee, even they live in this material world, actually their mind is always thinking of the Lord. They always associating with the Lord in the spiritual world. Because they, and also say pure devotees engage 100% in glorifying the Supreme Lord. So they don't waste any time in any mundane activities. And what they're doing, either they're preaching, they're teaching, preaching Krishna consciousness, or they're engaging in hearing and chanting the holy name of the Lord. And who is the Lord of the demigod, and they know that Krishna is the Lord of everyone, the demigod, and is a controller of all living entities. So they really don't waste the time just to, in mundane activities. They just engage their time in the hearing and chanting. Then even if it is very rare, it is very rare. And to be a Mahatma also in Bhagavad Gita is said, you become the great soul of the, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanamam Mam Prapajyati. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. After many, many births and death, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, then we one surrenders into Vasudev. Vasudev is Krishna. And such a great soul is very rare. Samahatma Sudurlabha. Sudurlabha, he said this Sudurlabha means is very rare. Also, this verse also started with Durlabha. Durapa. Durapa Prabhupada said really obtainable. So the association of, to become a great devotee, and it's very, very rare. And also in what the qualification um, of a great devotees. A great devotees of the Lord here in Bhagavad Gita, they said, and the symptom are described here. A Mahatma is always engaged in chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead. He has no other business. Is always engaged in glorification of the Lord. In other words, he is not an impersonalist. When the question of glorification is there, one has to glorify the Supreme Lord, praising His holy name, His eternal form, His transcendental qualities, and His uncommon pastime. One has to glorify all these things. Therefore, Mahatma is attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What Mahatma did, great soul did, like one who is attached to the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord, the Brahman is not described as a Mahatma in the Bhagavad Gita, described in different ways in the next way. The Mahatma is always engaged in different activities of devotional service, as described in Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing and chanting about Vishnu, not a demigod or human being. So there's a lot of people, they worship all kind of demigod, Generally, a lot of people worship, they think, they're just on the path of liberation. But here Srila Prabhupada said, in this purpose, we have to chant only of Vishnu, Shavanam Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Vishnu Smaranam. Remember Krishna only. Such a Mahatma's firm determination to achieve the ultimate end of association of the Supreme Lord in any one of the five transcendental rasas. To achieve that success, engage all activities, mental, bodily, vocal, everything in the service of the Supreme Sri Krishna. This is called full Krishna consciousness. So we all, somehow or other, we have to aspire to become, to become a pure devotee of the Lord, and how, and everything is being given to us, how we can do that, it's just by serving the great soul, you know, and following the footsteps, one day, one lifetime, we don't know how many lifetimes, especially for me. One day, if I have firm faith in the instruction of Srila Prabhupada, and my spiritual master, I know one day we'll reach to the stage of become like a pure devotee, a pure devotee of the Lord. And always our only desire is to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no other ulterior desire, whatever, and to be free from all kind of bad qualities. And there's so many, even like also it is said in the purport, he said, even one doesn't have the qualification, but still, here it said, mm, even one has no asset of favorable austerity. If he nevertheless takes shelter of Mahatma who engage in chanting, hearing, he's sure to make progress back home, back to Godhead. And a lot of us, we don't have any qualification, to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's only by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master, we're able, at least to start chanting the holy name of the Lord and reading Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. And this, by somehow or other, we're getting purified. And by constantly doing it, by not giving up in any situation, and always like trying to endeavor to make spiritual progress, we will one day be able to reach that goal to go back home, back to Godhead, like, because by following the footstep of the Acharya who on the, of the great soul, like he said, they're on the path back home, back to Vaikuntha. So in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, there's a lot of personalities. Like in Bhagavatam, Prabhupada mentioned that Narad Muni, he was just a simple boy, is a son of a maidservant, and by serving great soul, you know, for 4 months and eating the ramen, he became the greatest devotee. And in return, he traveled all over the universe and make so many other great souls like, Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, and so many others devotees, you know. So, so that why Srila Prabhupada, and he wanted all of us, to come in the mode of goodness and to become Brahman. Brahman means to give Krishna consciousness to others. And also Brahman means, become a devotee, a great Vaishnava, to be a pure devotee, ultimately. So, and also Vidura, actually this is the chapter is about Vidura, inquiry about Vidura. Vidura also was son of like a maid, of a Sudrani. He was born in a Kshatriya, Sudrani mean, a maid servant. But and he and he's a great soul also. He's one of the Mahatma. And the Pandava. But why the Pandava, they are great soul? Because they cannot live without the association of Krishna. They were always in association with Krishna. And Kunti Devi, when Krishna has to leave Hastinapur to go to Dwarka, she was just lamenting, because she's going to miss the association of Krishna. So they were always Krishna consciousness. They were fully devoted to and surrendered to Krishna. So these are great souls. The Mahatmas also, they're very fixed in devotional service, and they have no other desire to serve nobody. And and also, um, if we come somehow or other, if we come in contact with any Mahatma, and we have to take the opportunity to hear from them. So that why Srila Prabhupada said, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So we already hearing every day, Srimad Bhagavatam. And this Bhagavatam is translated, word to word, Prabhupada purports by pure devotee Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada, you know, he also, he was always didn't take any credit. He gave all the credit to his spiritual master, who was pure devotee. And simply by hearing, and I was reading that Srila Prabhupada, when one of his friends wanted to take him to see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, at that time Prabhupada said he was following, Mahatma Gandhi. He was, the political movement of Mahatma Gandhi. And Prabhupada said he didn't have any interest to go and see sadhu because he has seen so many sadhus coming, and he didn't have any interest to go and see. Then his friend forced him to go to see Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Then he went there. Then when he sat and hearing from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, whatever Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati were talking about the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, that touched his heart. And he can see that he was a sadhu. And he asked one question, and he will have some challenging question also to Bhaktisiddhanta. He said, nowadays, who will take to God consciousness? But just by hearing submissively, and it touched his heart. Even he didn't become, like serving Srila Bhaktisiddhanta immediately, like leave everything and go and join Bhaktisiddhanta. After so many years, you know, the devotees, and the disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta, he met them in one city called Allahabad, where Srila Prabhupada has his business there. And there, by serving, and the devotees came for donation, he gave some donation and help, and he started associating with the disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta. Then he met Bhaktisiddhanta again, and Bhaktisiddhanta asked him, you're all educated, why don't you go and preach Krishna consciousness to the Western world? And Srila Prabhupada took it so seriously. Even he didn't execute it at that time because he was still a Grihastha. But he took this so seriously, and he came to the West, and he has touched the heart of so many souls all over the world, simply by following the instruction of his spiritual master. So we can see the potency of a great soul. They can touch people's heart. They can change people's heart. So all of us who are fortunate, to get the association of our great acharyas like Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, and they all great soul like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, Rupa Sanatan, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all these great souls, like they have given it so much instruction and so much, association through the books, how we can become pure devotee of the Lord. So we should not take the association of the devotee who are fully engaged in the service of the Lord, not seriously. because it's very important for our progress in our spiritual life. And also in Bhagavatam 1-6, it said, Shushruya Sada Shradanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Sayan Mahatsevaya Vipra Punyatita Nisevanat. O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely free from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the message of Vasudeva. Also, there's one song, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur sing, Oe Vaishnava Thakur, Dayala Sagara, Idase Karuna Kori. I like this song. I'm just going to read the translation. Yeah. Actually, there's another song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He said, Kripa Bindu Diya Koro Edase Trinapeka Atihina Sakala Sahane Baladiya Koro Nijamanis Prihahina. He said, Gurudev gives the servant just one drop of mercy. I'm low as a blade of grass. Give me strength. Let me be as you are, without desire or aspiration. So that's how we have to pray to great Vaishnava, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur told us how we have to pray. And because first we don't have any strength, we don't have any qualification, any strength, that only by taking shelter of great Mahatma, we can we can be aspired, we can have some desires to serve the Lord. Also, they say Sakala Samanya Kurite Sakati Dehunata Jata Jata Tabito Kaibo Harinama Suke Aparada Abhihata. After you all respect, possess I may have the energy to know you correctly. Then by chanting the holy name in great ecstasy, all my offenses will cease. And then the third, I say this is Kabeg he no kripa labia he jana kritata hoy benata sakti buddhi he na ami ati dena guru mure atma sata. He said, O Lord and Master, when will such mercy fall to this one who is weak and devoid of intelligence? Allow me to be with you. And the last, I say, Jugjata vichare kichu nahi pai, tumara karuna sara, karuna na hoile, kandiya kandiya, rananada ki bohara. If you examine me, you will find no qualities. Your mercy is all that I am made of. If you're not merciful unto me, I can only weep. I will not be able to maintain my life. So this song, it has so much meaning, and I put myself in the same situation because we don't have any qualification, to to understand Krishna, just simply by taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada books and listening to all his pure devotees. I think, and all the devotees that, all his disciple and grand disciple who are taking Krishna consciousness very seriously, at least we can make some progress in spiritual life. Also in Nectar Devotion, he said, and if we engage in pure devotional service, what happened to us? We get relief from all material, anxiety, all material distress. So, and we should always endeavor, to serve Krishna, by consciously making endeavor, like, the great soul, And also, and who is a sadhu, and it is said the sadhu is always acting in Krishna. One who is fully conscious of the activities of Krishna consciousness is called a sadhu. And the devotee doesn't know. There's another verse Prabhupada said, who is a sadhu, who is a devotee. The devotee are always in my heart. I'm always in the heart of the devotees. The devotee doesn't know anything beyond me, and I'm also cannot forget the devotee. There is a very intimate relationship between me and the devotees. Pure devotee in full knowledge are never out of spiritual touch. Therefore, they are very much dear to me. You know, that's the activities of the Mahatmas. You know, because they always Krishna is always in their heart, and they cannot live without the association of Krishna. Okay. So the Bhagavatam, they always recommend that we associate with, with Mahat means great soul, for opening our gate for salvation. And Prabhupada also says the highest principle of spiritual sense means Krishna consciousness to understand God. That is Mahatma. And in Bhagavatam, it said there's a story of Chitraketu. Chitraketu was a great devotee. If one hear of the history of Chitraketu from a pure devotee, the listener also freed from conditional life or material existence. And Vidura, he was very, very compassionate. He was a great because he was a great soul. He kind of stand seeing the, like people suffering, like the Pandavas suffering, you know, and he was so compassionate to them. Uh, they say compassionate Mahatma Vidura could not stand to see the Pandava distressed by any time. Therefore, he did not disclose the unpalatable and bearable incident of the annihilation of the heart because calamities come their own accord. And that is not. And also, he said, like we say, Mahatmanas to Mampata Devim Prakritim, and the Devim Prakriti means the Mahatma. They are not. They are. Everybody know in Prakriti, but what Devim Prakriti? There are two nature of the Lord. One is external, one is internal. The Devim is the internal energy of the Lord. Is a spiritual energy, and external energy is a material energy. So the Mahatma, the great souls, they are not. They are under the divine, the internal potency of the Lord. Um, I was reading in the Vani codes. There's so many. There's a whole page about who are the Mahatma. It's a elevated Mahatma who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or fully satiated by the shade of the lotus feet. Their consciousness cannot possibly become attached to family members. Even if one has no asset of favorable austerity, if he nevertheless takes shelter of the Mahatma, who are engaged in chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord, is sure to make progress, the path back home, back to Godhead. And Prabhupada also gave an example, Gargamuni. Gargamuni is a spiritual master of Nanda Maharaj. He said Gargamuni has no interest to serve by going to Nanda Maharaj. And Nanda Maharaj, as a Grihastha, was always perfectly ready to receive instruction from Mahatma to gain the real benefit of life. Thus, he was ready to execute Gargamuni order. Generally, the devotee are not cruel, angry, but they can be foremost angry person for Krishna's sake. So generally, we should not be angry. A Mahatma is never angered. That's another qualification. Like we always have to take opportunity. Like Prabhupada gives the example of Gargamuni. When great devotees come and try to hear from them, try to associate, because by association, like we can change our mind, our mentality. We may be so down, may not have interest in chanting. Sometimes just by hearing from a great devotees who is himself is practicing pure devotional service, who himself is chanting so sincerely, just by following in the footsteps, our heart also get our mind got changed. We got touched by the just by seeing them, by the example, by following the example. um Prabhupada said, the Mahatma are not under the clutches of illusory energy, but under the protection of spiritual energy, because this real Mahatma is always engaged in devotional service of the Lord. The Mahatma, a pure devotee on the path to Vaikuntha, the kingdom of God, who always chant and hear the glories of rather than talk dry, profitless philosophy. The Mahatma become so absorbed in transcendental service that they no longer desire elevation to any material planet, nor do they want to be transferred to any spiritual planet. The Mahatma sees this distinction between spiritual energy and material energy. So take shelter under the spiritual energy, driving Prakriti. The Mahatma great souls strictly observe all rules and regulations of devotional service offered by great Acharya. Therefore, they are sure to achieve the desired result. The Mahatma great souls strictly observe all rules and regulations. Therefore, they are sure to achieve the desired result. The Mahatma who fully surrender to the lotus feet of the Lord are directed by Yoga Maya. We are the Duratma. Duratma is the opposite of Mahatma, means one who is devoid of devotional service, as they are under and or directed by Mahamaya. The parampara system of disciplic succession is very important as a mean of spiritual success. One become Mahat by the grace of Mahat spiritual master. So that's why for every instruction that we got, we have to follow the parampara, the disciplic succession. And by following the example, all the great, all the great devotees that are mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, and that coming in the line of the Gaudiya Sampradaya by following, the like that why on the altar, when we do worship Krishna, first we offer worship to the parampara, like in all ISKCON temple, we have we have the picture of a guru of Srila Prabhupada, uh, Bhakti Siddhanta, Saraswati Gorkisodar Babaji Maharaj, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, the sixth Goswami of Vrindavan, Rupa Sanatan, Gopal Bhatt, Raghunath Das, Raghunath Bhatt Goswami. So we follow in the footsteps. Then we have the Panchatattva. So we all follow the disciplic succession. So we don't jump to Krishna just to know Krishna. First, we have to take shelter of all these great souls so that then we can understand Krishna. See, any worship that we are doing, we always have to pray for the Guru Parampara, and we always have to be very indebted to what they given us to Srila Prabhupada, especially, and to our spiritual masters, those who brought us to Krishna consciousness. Just simply by offering respect to these devotees, then we can surely, attain a glimpse of pure devotional service, a little devotional service. Even like previously, it is said that, without any qualification, simply by serving great soul, we can make some progress. Okay, another Prabhupada says, what the word Mahatma mean. The word Mahatma mean somebody who's broad-minded, one who cannot understand Krishna is not broad-minded, but cripple-minded. If one become broad-minded, then by the grace of Krishna, one can understand Krishna. The word Mahatma refer to those who are broad-minded, not cripple-minded. The word Mahatma to describe the qualification, and Prabhupada gave example, there are so many Mahatma, many yogis, Jnani, and Karmi. They're all good, but they do not approach the ultimate goal of life, mean approaching Vasudeva, approaching Krishna. So Shrama eva hi kevalam. Krishna only has to be approached. That's why Prabhupada, he emphasized that we don't worship any demigod, anyone. Just simply we have to worship Krishna. Prabhupada also said there are so many bogus Mahatma, Swami, Yogi, and incarnation, and so many rascals. Or Rakshasa, atheists, such kind are not Mahatma. Like in India, you go in people, whoever dress in, saffron clothes, when they're personalists, even they have all kind of vice, and they're not fully devoted to Supreme Personality Godhead. People, they mistakenly accept them like Mahatma. But Prabhupada says they are not Mahatma. They're all bogus. They are so-called Mahatma, Prabhupada said. They think they are much exalted. They do not require Sankirtan. Sankirtan means they don't require to hear and chant about Krishna. And Sridhar Swami said that Sankirtan movement is not only for the person who is sinful, but Mahatam api. There are two kind of materialists. One is attached to woman sense gratification. One other is simply a non-devotee. On the positive side, uh, he said, association with Mahatma or great soul, and the negative side is avoidance of non-devotee and woman hunters. Previously, I already mentioned that there are two types of Mahatma, the impersonalist and the devotee. Although the ultimate goal is different, the process of emancipation is almost same, but both wants eternal happiness. I mean, both the impersonalist devotees and the pure devotees, they both want eternal happiness. Prabhupada also gives some examples. So there is a church, Prabhupada say, in the United Nations, and Prabhupada said we try to get a room there for making, to preach Krishna consciousness. The church unity denied to give us, and because the church, they say, oh, this is a Krishna consciousness movement. The Krishna, the Hindus, we don't have to give them. They can give them permission, to have some kind of program in the church. So Prabhupada tells these, so they're crippled minded. There's these people, they're crippled minded, the church people. And so their crippled mind is not expanded. Prabhupada said, Sa Mahatma. Mahatma means broad minded. He said there are symptoms of Mahatma, so we have to make position that bhajan is so important. That Bhagavad Gita is meant for all solution of material problem, but we are not accepting it. And there's a whole list, if one get times you have to read this, if you know who really a great soul. Prabhupada also quotes the verse, Bhagavatam 7:430 say, Vasudeva Bhagavati. One should understand that Prahlad Maharaj attachment for Nishingadev was attachment to Krishna. Vasudev, the son of Vasudev, Prahlad is described as a great Mahatma. He said, when we understand Vasudev, that Krishna is the supreme, then we become a great man. So also, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, we should always associate with with uh, with Mahatma. What is the verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita? Anybody knows? Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha. Okay, yeah, here it is. It is Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Sastikaya, Lava Matra Sadhu Sange, Seva Siddhihaya. The verdict of all living scripture is by even a moment association with a pure devotee, one can attain all success. So, what we got from this verse today, and it's so very important for us to associate with great soul, and for the great soul, I read a little bit, from Srila Prabhupada Vani code, for the great soul. And if we can only, associate with great soul, and we also can have a chance, to understand Krishna to some extent. So if we really want to make spiritual progress, advance in our devotional life, we should not criticize the devotees, and we should respect each and every devotees. And Prabhupada says, who is a sadhu? And Prabhupada says a sadhu, there's different grade of sadhu. And anyone, even one, just accept Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead, you know, he is a sadhu. That is in Chaitanya Charitamrita the same. So any kind of devotees that we come in contact with, we have to really have great respect and bow down to them because they accepted Krishna. And what about great devotee, great soul, Mahatma? Then for them, we have to serve them, we have to hear from them, we have to follow the example, we have to follow in their footsteps in such a way, gradually, especially we are so very fortunate, to have the association of great soul like Srila Prabhupada in the unlimited books that he provided us, the Nectar of Devotion, the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, just by associating. And on YouTube, there's so many unlimited lectures given by so many great devotees. You want to enhance, you want to make progress in spiritual life. So there's all kind of sources where we can take advantage of and, and get purified and can and attain our goal, of going back home, back to Godhead. Because those devotees who are constantly hearing and chanting, they are serious, that like the verse says on the path back to Vaikuntha. So we are, we say the back to Vrindavan, back to Goloka Vrindavan. Vaikuntha was a place where there's no anxiety and Goloka Vrindavan, where we can constantly serve Krishna there. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Can anybody have any reflection?
Anybody has any reflections, anything they would like to say, please just unmute yourself and go ahead. I was just thinking about what good fortune we have in being able to have come in contact with Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, it's, there is so much out there, so many people, but, very few have come in contact and then taken up. So really very grateful for both of those things to have
Yeah,
happened.
we have to don't take it for granted sometimes. You know, like, very grateful that what we got. We got a treasure, and especially, if you don't want, don't want to stay in this material world. Mhm. And if nobody has anything, then we'll end the class. Almost time. It's 9 o'clock.
Don't see any other hands up. So everybody have a wonderful Krishna conscious day. Happy Ekadasi to everybody. And we'll hopefully see everybody at the temple this evening.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mataji.
Mm.
Yeah, we should that like Prabhupada, how much he sacrificed, how much he difficulties, how many difficulties he took, and he came and he taught us a lot of things. So we should at least keep those things and respect those other devotees, and then just help them and pray if we can serve them. That's very good fortune. And that's what I always think, When I went to Sadhu Sangha also, I was asking them. Only one time I went to Sadhu Sangha. But, that is a happy thing we can do. And then they have so much knowledge, we try to get that knowledge. So that's what I feel.
Yeah, it's very important to have sadhu sangha.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And then devotee association is also very important.
yeah, we can see sometime, if we are away from devotee, how we miss, the association, because as soon as we come in contact with devotees, and when devotees are where they are at Prabhupada temples, that's why Prabhupada, you know, had established so many temples all over the world,
Yeah.
so that we can have association of devotees. The only reason temple is not meant for any other purpose than to, make progress in Krishna consciousness, for us to get association of devotee, to enliven each other, to talk about Krishna,
Yeah.
and all this temple is not meant for any of the mundane activities.
That's true. Thank you very much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Next class.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Panchakalpataribhyo.
Sarvasya kripasindobhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.